Who screams for vampires? We all scream for vampires, especially if we happen to run into one. Unless that vampire just happens to be Vampirella, then honestly I would only be screaming as a result of just fangirling. If you are less familiar with the salacious and vivacious heroine affectionately called Vampy, prepare to get more familiar because we are going to be learning a little bit more about this iconic horror-based hero as we count down the top 10 shocking Vampirella facts. And be sure to stick around till the end of this list where I will have some bonus content coming your way. Alright, let's get counting. Number 10. She's pansexual. During Dynamite's run of Vampirella from 2017, we got some confirmation that Vampirella is actually quite gay, which honestly, finally! If you are a Vampirella fan, I'm sure this won't seem that shocking to you, but for people who aren't familiar, it might. Vampirella has always been a sexy character, but beyond that she is also super sex positive, and has had various relationships with all kinds of people in the comics. But it was her low-key makeout session with Vicky Vincent in issue 11 that finally got Vampy out of the closet and confirmed what some fans suspected for a long time, that Vampirella is queer. And pansexual. Yay! We don't have enough pansexual people in comics, so I was pretty excited about this, but that's just me. Number 9. Wings. That's right, she has wings. End of point. No, I'm just kidding. And they are part of her true form, not just like a shape-shifting thing. While a lot of people might underestimate Vampirella due to her appearance, she is not a hero you would want to mess with, and although she is a vampire, she is also a hero, not a villain. She can shapeshift into a bat, but even in her true form, she has wings as well. They are retractable, and when not fully extended, just look like tiny little wing nubs on her shoulder blades. Just little guys back there. I wish I had wing nubs. Maybe one day, when I am a vampire. Number 8. She's super confusing. She is super confusing. Don't laugh, it's true. You might think that a female vampire character would be direct and easy to figure out and understand. She's a vampire, she eats people, she's sexy. Especially someone like Vampirella, who was the host of a horror anthology series when she first appeared in 1969 in Vampirella issue 1 volume 1. But you would be wrong. She's not that simple. She's very complex. Since her introduction in 69, she's changed a lot. She went from being the host of an anthology series to becoming the star of her own series, and went from being just a vampire to a paranormal detective. A lot of the changes in regards to the direction that her character was pushed in and her tone have boiled down to the fact that she has changed publishers 3 times since her introduction. Look at Vampirella now, in 2020 versus Vampirella in 1969. There are similarities, but overall she seems to have an entirely different voice, which has evolved and changed with the times. This is actually what makes Vampirella such a strong character though. Regardless of whether you're reading her during the time with Warren or Harris in the 90s or Dynamite's more modern take on her, she's a very fluid character, one who is able to evolve and grow without much question or resentment involved. She's unique, we accept her growth, but also there's like a lot of really bad comics of her and a lot of really great ones because it's so different. So if you want to go from the beginning, it's going to be a confusing ride for you. Sorry about that, Vampirella fans that are reading. Number 7. Defeated Dracula. That's right, in her Warren run at least, which saw her team up with one of the Van Helsings. Dracula would actually go on to be a recurring villain throughout Vampy's long history, and while she defeated him in the Warren run, it wouldn't be the last we'd see of him in a Vampirella comic by a long shot. She also went up against him during the Harris run, and even now with Dynamite has gone up against him as well. Dracula would prove to be used by writers as one of her biggest arch nemesis. While Vampirella is a good vampire who's often posed as a hero, Dracula is an evil vampire. In fact, he is also from Draculon, which is Vampirella's home planet, but was corrupted, turned evil, and now every vampire he spawns as such becomes evil too. It's what happens when you're corrupted by the god of chaos. Beyond her long-standing feud with Dracula though, Vampirella comics also often come with a variety of colorful characters, including the magical, less than useful, bumbling Pendragon, who I love. He's pretty great. Number 6. Costume changes. When you think of Vampirella, you certainly think of the very iconic look of her red one piece, with the cutout, white collar, little bat symbol just above her crotch. She's wearing it on the front of her first issue, as a matter of fact. Although inside the issue we see her in a slightly different variation on this costume, this outfit has become a big part of both what has made Vampirella successful and in ways hindered her as well. This character has been criticized for being overtly sexualized since her creation because of her iconic look. And this criticism even influenced changes in Vampirella's wardrobe over the years. One of the most notable being in her 2016 comic series with Dynamite, when they attempted to revamp her outfit, pun intended, by changing it to a romper-style combat suit with buckles and like a big belt and combat boots, and her hair was up in a pony. The series only ran 6 issues. I think we can all guess why. And her new look ran into criticism from the other side. People missed her more sexy look, and many claimed that her costume was actually a part of who she was as a character, and that the new costume didn't really suit her personality at all. Needless to say, it did not stick around, and while she doesn't always sport the iconic suit, whenever she is superheroing it up, it usually comes back to that outfit. Number 5. 50 years old. Yep, because she's been around since July of 1969, this means that Vampirella is 50 years old. Granted, she did have a huge blackout period from 1983 to 1991, where she really had no new comics coming out due to the fact that Warren Publishing went bankrupt and she wasn't picked up again till later by Harris in 1991. Still, we seem to be counting this period because although she didn't have any series ongoing, she still existed. 4. Red Sonja team up. Okay, so it might not seem that shocking to you, but if you have read some of this team up series and are familiar with these two very different characters, then you likely will understand what I'm talking about here. While both characters are currently property of Dynamite and are female powerhouses, they are both very different characters. Vampirella is sexy, sneaky, and brilliant. She's established herself in the last couple of decades as a sort of paranormal PI. She's a sleuth. Red Sonja, on the other hand, is brash, brazen, and bold. She's proven time and time again why she is known as the Red She-Devil of the comic book world. She is basically a barbarian. Well, I'm all for having a well-rounded party when it comes to a D&D campaign. Usually being so different when it comes to a team-up doesn't always work. In this series though, you'll see just what I am talking about with these two. The two clash. They're like fire and water, they're opposites. But surprisingly, Dynamite was able to make this pairing work really well. A big part of this for me was the masterful writing of Jordi Belair, who is one of my favorite comic book writers, period. So while you wouldn't imagine that these two heroines would work well together, prepare to be surprised. Also go read it, it's a really good team up series. Number 3, designed by a feminist. So here's the thing, a lot of people have strong opinions on Vampirella's appearance and her sensuality in the comics, and I get it. Women being objectified in comics has been a huge problem throughout comic book history, and is still an ongoing issue today. But Vampirella is unique because although she was created in the late 60s, and although she appears scantily clad and sexual, she isn't objectified in the same way that other comic book characters are. When we talk about objectification, I don't think we're actually really talking about Vampirella, to be honest. In fact, Vampirella's iconic costume that causes so many debates was actually designed by a feminist. Trina Robbins is the woman behind the iconic look. Vampirella was created by Trina Robbins, Frank Frazetta, Forrest Ackerman, and Tom Sutton. Number 2, alien origins. Yep, Vampirella is an alien, not just a vampire. And not what you might think of when you think of the word vampire. Usually you don't think of also an alien. Vampirella, or Vampy as she would have you call her, is from Draculon. Draculon is a planet where their H2O, their water, and planet's lifeblood is just that, blood. So Vampy isn't really undead, she's very much alive and an alien. She's part of a race known as the Vampiri. Due to a massive drought on her planet, she was forced to feed off human astronauts who had landed there. Discovering that they had her Earth's water and food in their veins, she decided to use their ship to transport herself back to Earth, where she could continue to feed off of these beings. Number 1, strict code of ethics. So despite needing to drink blood to survive, Vampirella quickly realizes when she arrives on Earth that she actually likes a lot of humans. It turns out she doesn't really want to kill everyone. This ends up making her more selective than you might have expected when it comes to choosing her food, and means that she generally only feeds on the worst kind of people that she believes deserve to be killed. She's still a horror hero though, so her comics are still often splattered with blood, just not usually the blood of innocence. Especially with this latest run of Dynamites and the one previous, there's just gore and guts everywhere. Lots of gore, lots of creepy stuff that you'd expect from, you know, a vampire. Still, she has a strong moral compass and she does do her best to fight for what's right. Vampirella started out as a misguided hero but has since become a full-on hero, just one who doesn't shy away from making a bloody mess of her enemies every now and then. I mean, hey, she's still a vampire, she's gotta eat. Thank you so much for watching, Nerd Squad. I hope you found this list to be a scream and that it inspired you to pick up a Vampirella comic or two if you haven't already. And if you love Vampirella as much as I do, be sure to show it by giving this list a thumbs up. Who is your favorite companion of Vampirella's? What team-ups of Vampirellas do you love the most? She also is a really good one with Catwoman. Do you want to learn more about her via a part 2 of this list? Let us know in the comments below. And speaking of comments, it's time to turn to some comments from one of our latest videos, Top 10 Superpowers You Didn't Know Omega Red Had. Dax Foster says, I'm pretty sure it's a long A on carbonadium. You're right! Because I just thought we have adamantium, I just thought it would have to be like a similar sound because they're like two kind of competing metals in the Marvelverse. But nope, apparently that's not how that works. This information is, however, making me question the phonics of adamantium itself, and now it makes me wanna read more on standard Canadian English pronunciation rules and the words that break them. Like, would it be mantium? Cameron Payne says, Omega Red should be Amanda's call sign. If I were Omega level, I would agree with you, but I always feel like I'm more of an Alpha level, so maybe like Alpha Red? Alpha Red though? I could vibe with that. Alpha Red. What's the Greek symbol for alpha, by the way, guys? Let me know. And that's all the time we have for comments today. Be sure to comment below for a chance to have your thoughts shouted out in a future list. This has been Top 10 Nerd, and I'm your host Amanda McKnight, reminding you to stay nerdy, YouTube.